Hello, my name is Grealin C. Kimbrough, and today we're going to parlay about framing the narrative. Like with most issues in life, framing the narrative is not inherently positive or negative. It's all in context and usage. Framing the narrative is where an individual uses information, usually facts, figures, or anecdotes, to subjectively prove their position. Emphasis on subjective. The notable aspect of framing the narrative is when the individual chooses to not acknowledge information which may disprove some of their facts or their overall conclusion. And now, some illustrations of framing the narrative. The great orator, the self-idol, and the great self-promoter, Mr. Kanye West. Perhaps the most notable and most stark example is Mr. West's pontification on Miss Beyonce Knowles deserving the Grammy for Album of the Year. Mr. West's conclusion in his narrative is not without merit, because let's face it, Miss Knowles had one of the best albums of the year. But what made it notable is Mr. West failed to acknowledge there were simply other candidates in the field. And when you don't even acknowledge the other candidates because you never listen to them, it is clearly an uninformed position, and everything that you say, all the facts that you present, are framing the narrative. Our second illustration is every last one of us. Framing the narrative is how we write our resumes. It's how we interview for a job. Do you notice that every resume makes you, me, and the world a superstar? How every software engineer is on the cusp of being Bill Gates. Our resume says nothing of our actual work ethic. I go to sleep, tired. Our resume says nothing about those who helped us or may have done just about all of our work for us. Shout out to my little brother behind the camera. An interview is no different. It's where we highlight our accomplishments and we minimize our shortcomings. In an interview, I can stand as tall as anybody else, when in real life, let's just say I've never been accused of being tall. What we'd like to emphasize again, there's nothing inherently positive or negative about framing the narrative, but within the confines of honest and real discourse, there's very little room for framing the narrative. When we parlay about concepts or ideas, we aim for salient topics that are fact-based. This makes relating to other individuals during a discourse far easier. Framing the narrative can make finding insight and solutions just a little bit more difficult to attain. So how do you frame the narrative? Let's parlay.